you exhausted when it comes to the amount of time and effort it already takes to get a customer, but then they come around for 1 second and leave and they don't become that lifetime buyer that you're desiring to have? Not just an audience of buyers, but ones who want to stick around and pay you for years to come happily. Inside this video, we're going to talk about the 5 main ways and the mistakes that happen that really end up leading your people to either buy one-off or buy not at all. These mistakes help my client to be able to finally have some of her clients come in who are happy to pay her without much questioning and stick around for years on end, constantly renewing because they desire to. That's the place that I want to get you to with your people, and let's go into the first one. Now, these mistakes are going to be kind of hard to hear because they go and contradict a little bit of the old school tactics of conversion marketing. And I'll be talking more about that specifically with your sales page tactics in the next video. But for this specifically, I wanted to make this more broad so you can kind of see how this works no matter what type of asset you're doing, whether it be an email, a funnel, a webinar, a page. These things are going to end up creating an atmosphere that people are going to leave from, especially leave quickly. First thing you're not going to want to hear, but really makes a difference, is that you got them in the door, your customer, through false scarcity or urgency. This already creates a different relationship than one that is organically saying yes. Now, again, as a conversion marketer, there are obviously ways that you can have your people be led to the yes, but when you add false urgency or false scarcity, for example, using deadline funnel timers are fine if they are generally going to close the offer and you're not going to be able to get access to it again until ever. That is important because you are showing your people that you are wanting to develop trust with them, and people can feel that. I mean, think about the last time you got into a funnel, especially one that might have been a more false urgency or scare tactic type of funnel that is so heavily pushing on a time countdown that makes you stress thinking about it and puts you into that fight or flight mode, which, yes, can be those places where people get that impulse buyer. But when they come as an impulse buyer, there's also the other side, which is buyer's remorse. And the easiest way to eliminate buyer's remorse, or honestly for your people, it might be they bought once and just don't buy again or even hang out in your group, is by switching the relationship and dynamic of your funnel to be an actual experience for your people rather than an intimidation or urgency. Again, healthy urgency, organic urgency is amazing. And yes, you can use deadline funnels. It's really important for you to realize that when you're trying to create a relationship with your lead or people that you want for the long term, like you would in any other friendship or relationship, you wouldn't start out by lying to them. And that's to what for some people in your audience, it might feel like that. Because we've all experienced false scarcity before, we understand that that's not actually the case of why it's going to go away. So I ask you to really reflect for yourself and say, how much has this false scarcity that I've put into my funnel through a timer that doesn't actually end the offer that's still around, things like that, where it's creating that urgency that's building on the brain rather than helping to create that deeper experience for your people, that deeper trust to want them to be with you long term. And if that's the case, let's go into why it's important for you to start to reshift the way that you sell to those people, especially if you're someone who is selling a life-changing offer, a transformational offer. That means they have to put enough trust in you to believe that you can help them, and then also enough trust in what you're selling to them and how you're marketing, that it's going to be something that they need right now, but not forcing them. And that's sometimes what false urgency can create. Second thing that's in a similar vein to this is the "you can't do this without me" type of copy. I swear, every time I say this, I want to roll my eyes. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you've probably seen this before on a sales page specifically, even in emails, especially towards the end of a sales funnel or an email sequence, usually towards the end of the page as well, where they go in to say, you have 2 choices. Choice 1, you choose a path that you're still going on and you're going to continue failing, or you're not going to get there as fast. And then there's the other part that is me, and if you choose my path, then I will get you there, and you can't do it without me, or else you're going to be on that bad path already. It is creating this sense, there's 2 things that are happening here unconsciously that you don't realize. 1, you are creating a codependent relationship with your people. So you are feeding into, if they already have a wound around codependency, but also creating a codependent relationship where you're saying, you need me in order to succeed. Now, there's a 100% chance that what you are offering them is true. it can really change their life. But to discount their resourcefulness on the other path, the one that is the things are gonna go bad kind of thing, it really makes it feel like then they have no other choice. And yes, that can be supportive if that does feel like the type of buyer that you have. Again, there's 4 buyer types. I can talk about them in another video. But it's important for you to realize that for your people, especially in order to have them be with you long term and want to continue buying, starting with a codependent relationship where they think that you are the only answer to their prayers and that they're not resourceful enough to at least have that same success. Now granted, it can be a shorter period with you, it can be an easier period with you, but to discount their resourcefulness and say they're going to continue going down the bad path, it then creates, when they get into your actual community, they're then going to, one, be again codependent, where they need to talk to you and ask so many questions all the time. Second, if they don't do that, but they are consciously kind of wanting that relationship with you, then they're going to end up most likely sending a message down the road saying, hey, I just don't feel like I'm getting the support that I wanted in here, because what was being created actually from that type of copy was, you're going to hold my hand the entire way. So if that's not the type of offer you're creating, then I really wouldn't recommend this type of copy, because it really creates and facilitates that type of relationship that, especially for someone who is doing a lot of courses or info products or anything that's one-to-many, then this type of copy would actually really not serve your offer and your people. Now, the third thing is going to be around quick wins and the lack of them. Because you might have heard this in, lead magnet creation videos where they talk about, making your lead magnet something that is a quick win. I have a little bit of a different take than this, especially when you're wanting to have it create customers who want to stick around for a long time, which is, instead of going for just a quick win, I really try and have it be, and you'll hear me say it's word of locks, it's kind of the best way I can explain it, is to create that experience, that aha experience that they need. That doesn't have to always be a quick win. It could be just a reframe or a perspective shift. Again, it depends on where your people are at in their journey. But it's important for you to realize that if you're going into this thinking that I have to give away tips or tricks, or there's so many other ones I've seen recently, I'm doing this video series or whatever it is, without the intention of going into understanding what experience you're wanting them to create and that win that will immediately help them to understand that you are the person for them, that you have knowledge in a way that's actionable. Because think about it this way, you've probably heard at this point that it takes about, I think a few years ago, it was about 7 of 10 impressions for people to remember you. But if you're able to create a lead magnet, or that first impression that when they sign up for your email list actually helps to bypass at least 5 steps of that for you, you're so much farther ahead, because they will remember you because of the feeling that your lead magnet, your whatever it is, your TikTok, your video gave them. Because if you can leave them with a feeling, they will remember that more than a tip. Just think about it in the past when you watch videos, even maybe on YouTube, where you were watching a lot of tip videos and maybe they're helpful in the moment, but you probably don't remember who that channel's name is down the road. But what you do remember is that video you watched that got you 1% more calm, that got you 1% more excited, whatever it was. That is your North Star that you need in order to develop that relationship that basically replaces what a normal one-to-one conversation would be with you, or even a commenting back and forth, because they're helping to shortcut some of those impressions that they need to remember you, and at the same time show exactly that you were the person for them. So there's a shift in how you are delivering and how you are positioning your offers, or even your videos or TikToks. Again, I go with lead magnet because I'm a funnel person, so I think about it in that way. This could easily be for videos, reel series, it could be for anything. If you focus more on that, you will see a difference in the retention of your customers, in the retention of your audience, and in the engagement and interaction you have with them as well. It is so worth your time to do this. And I'm curious, what's been your worst experience with the freebie? I know for myself, mine was I got a checklist from someone that basically just gave me 1-sentence answers that did nothing for me. I'd love to hear what's been your horror story type of freebie that didn't really give you anything to go for. The fourth thing is going to be, you don't know your offer's unique selling proposition, or USP. Now, I have a quick mini course on this, $27 if you want to dive into figuring out yours. But whether or not you do, it's really important for you to understand what makes you different in the market. And you probably have heard this from a lot of marketers, and also this concept can be very high level as you get into it, because you're like so close to it, it's really hard for you to understand what is your unique selling point. But instead, if you look at it as a way of, this gives me a new way to talk about my offer that is never ending, that I know will always hit with my people every single time. That is what a USP can do for you. And when you don't know yours, or even like a couple of yours, because you can have multiple, you end up having this issue, which is you feel like your people are constantly choosing the other person, or if they're with you, they don't really understand why this offer is really important for them or transformational, because you can't clearly articulate your unique selling proposition, which means they can't also articulate what you do to help refer you to more people. It is so important to do this, and it can be very overlooked. But I tell you, if you were to do anything from this video, and that most of this is very practical, is to take some time to try and figure out what that is. And there's 4 different types that I talk about in the $27 course, but feel free to try and Google it if you need to, because I just want to make sure that you find what you need and be able to articulate it in a way that people understand and get it and resonate, so they want to stick around longer too, and pay you more as well. The 5th and final mistake is going to be, you don't know why they joined in the first place, which means you can effectively scale your operation to get them to continue with you. Because if you don't know why they joined, and yes, you might already have like an onboarding questionnaire or email that asks, why did you join? Or what was the thing that made you join? But the issue is, just like you have a hard time articulating what you do, they have a hard time articulating what they're going through. And especially if they're not automatically in that state when they're typing, like they're not in the throes of the problem, they're not going to be able to remember what that clear language was for you to be able to use inside of your posts, and also to use with them as they're going through the course to make sure they actually see a result and then want to continue buying from you down the road. That one easy tool to do this, which I can talk about in a deeper part, I also have it in my bullet points course. It's best thing ever when it comes to sales conversions. It's called Hotjar. It is a free tool you can use to start to track and see where your people are going, especially on your page, see what sections they're stopping at, what they're having to read more of, which can help you to see what parts are they resonating with, which parts are harder for them to understand, so why they're trying to stick around and read it over and over. And you can use that as a way to actually tweak the copy, tweak the messaging, and tweak your emails and your pitch in order to have people be so much more understanding of what you do, and then use that same knowledge to then help them in the actual program see some results from what they were actually looking at in the first place, and be able to buy from you again. So you can see that a lot of these tactics they feel very across the board, but it's because they're so important and they're so fundamental to wanting to have your people to upsell, but also to have more people convert with you with ease. So I really want to have you take a time, figure out which one that you want to start with, comment down below, because I'd love to support you in this way. And if you're wanting to sell more of your life-changing offers and convert your next 100 customers, then go down in the description and get either the freebie or any of the courses below to start this journey, because I want to make sure that you leave this with actionable and a place to begin to help your people and yourself scale your business and beyond. Make sure to hit the next video to go in deeper to those old school sales page tactics that don't work anymore that I mentioned earlier, and I'll see you in the next video.